Hey guys, welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. In this next episode of Hero Workshop, we're going to be continuing making Damp Foyer, Gnomish Artificer. In the first few episodes, we picked his race, his class, and generated his ability scores. There's a link down below where you can watch all of those episodes if you need to catch up or refresh yourself. In this episode, we're going to be doing all the background stuff. In my opinion, the background stuff is like the best thing about D&D 5th edition. I love all the background stuff. I love the traits, the ideals, the bonds, the flaws, all that kind of stuff. It's really fun to flesh your character out with that and start at level 1 with a character that has a little bit of personality to him. So we're going to go ahead and in the player's handbook, we're going to turn to chapter 4, which is on page 121. It's titled Personality and Background. The beginning of this chapter has a lot about picking a name and an age and height and weight and alignment and languages and stuff like that. We're going to kind of skip over that stuff for Damp just because I have an idea of who he is and what he's about. And none of that stuff is really mechanical, but do take the time to read through this stuff if you're new to the game and get a sense for what the alignments mean, what the languages do, how sort of like height and weight for the different races and things like that. It's got some good flavor in here. There's a lot of good examples of how you can use these things in the game to great effect and things like that. So definitely read through the flavor. But for now, we're going to go ahead and skip to the backgrounds, which the backgrounds begin on page 125. And the backgrounds are going to give us skill proficiencies. They might give us some languages. They might give us some tool or vehicle proficiencies, and they also are going to give us a few features, in addition to the non-mechanical traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. So there's a bunch of different backgrounds available, and each background has its own kind of flavor to it. You know, there's the acolyte, you know, somebody who's been in a temple. There's the criminal, somebody who's, you know, from a little, like a seedier part of town. There's the nobleman, the hermit, the outlander, the sailor, the scholar, or the sage, I'm sorry. And all of these backgrounds are going to give your character a different flavor. And one of my favorite things about 5th edition is combining different classes and backgrounds that you might not mix together, you know, like fighter and sage, or rogue and acolyte, you know, things that make for a really interesting character. In Damp's case, we're going to go with guild artisan, which is on page 132. So background. I'm going to do guild artisan. A guild artisan is somebody who specializes in a trade. In Damp's case, it's artifacts. It's he's a tinker. He's a tinker, basically. You know, he makes small objects. He makes artifacts, magical items. His big thing is his spell gauntlets. Yes, Damp is a wizard, but he has no natural magical ability. He simulates spells with his spell gauntlets, which he uses to cast different spells. And when I've played him before, he's actually had arcane-powered armor that he walks around in that he can cast spells out of. Okay, and he uses various magical components and things like that to simulate this magic. So, but for now, let's talk about his background, all right? So the first thing you're going to see when you get to your whatever background you pick in the player's handbook, in my case, Guild Artisan, page 132, you're going to see skill proficiencies. So the Guild Artisan gets Insight and Persuasion as skills. Tool proficiency, we get to pick a type of artisan tool. So in this case, we're going to pick Tinker's tools. Languages, I get to pick one of my choice. I'm going to go ahead and pick Dwarven. He has apprenticed under various dwarves in his life, so he would know how. And we're also going to get some equipment from this. So we have our Tinker's tools. We have a letter of introduction from our guild, so I'm going to put guild letter. We have traveler's clothes and a belt pouch containing 15 gold pieces. So we're going to go over here to gold pieces and put 15. All right, and this is just like stuff a common person would have. This is what you have on your person prior to becoming an adventurer. And it's just kind of stuff that you can use for roleplay and stuff like that. Now, after you write this stuff down, you're going to have a feature of some sort. In this case, guild business. I get a feature, guild membership. Now, what the guild membership does is it basically is... it allows me to call upon my guild members for aid. Now, there's a lot involved in this, so I'm just going to put down guild membership, which is fairly self-explanatory. It's nothing mechanical. It's something that I can use as a roleplay element that I would have to sort of present to the DM. So in this case, I'm just going to put the page number, which is page 133. So if I need to look up the specifics of it, I can. In this case, it's pretty self-explanatory. I am a member of a artisans guild, and I can call upon, if there is guild members in an area I'm in, I can call upon them for help. If I need to stay in the guild, if I need to contact somebody, if I need to sell some stuff, that's how I go about it. All right, and it's something that can be used as a tool for roleplay. But going back to guild business, I have to pick the business that my person is in. Some of the backgrounds have things like this, like the entertainer. You might pick what type of entertainer you are, if you're a dancer or a musician, or criminal. What kind of criminal you were and stuff like that. So for guild artisan, I'm gonna pick tinker. So I am a tinker, and up here, put guild artisan, and I can put tinker. Oops. All right, just so I know. Now, it's time to do traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. The personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws are all presented in tables that you can roll on. So if you're wanting to create a character from scratch and you don't have a good idea of what you want to create, you can roll on these tables and sort of randomly generate your character's background. In this case, I know Dampf pretty well, so I can look through these tables and pick stuff for him that's going to make sense for him as a character. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys what I got. Okay, so one thing I want to point out before I go over what I picked here for his traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws is that these background things are meant to be for you. They're meant to be for role play. They don't give you anything beneficial within the rules of the game. They are merely there for you to use as tools in portraying your character, deciding what they want, what their goals are, what their motivation is. So don't be afraid to pick your own traits, to pick your own ideals, bonds, and flaws, to doctor the ones that are already in this book, or to look through some of the other backgrounds and pick from there. It really is up to you and how you see the character. It's really just kind of a template there for you to use. So I kind of did that with Dampf. I kind of doctored a lot of the stuff to better fit his character. So for the personality trait, the trait is kind of your defining things, the aspects of your personality that shine the brightest. Typically, you're going to pick 2 traits. So mine are, anything worth doing is worth doing right. I'm a perfectionist. The second one is, I am consumed by how things work. So he wants to know how things operate. And more importantly, he wants to know what makes people tick. He sort of sees people as devices in and of themselves with gears sort of turning in their head. And so he's naturally curious and wants to know how things work. Ideal. Your ideal is kind of like your end goal, what drives you. For Dampf, it's aspiration. He wants to be the very best at what he does. He wants to be the best smith, the best creator of these devices. He wants to be the greatest artificer that ever lived. The bond. This is something that is like personal, near and dear to your heart. The bond is typically something that your character wouldn't be super vocal about. Something that drives them not outwardly, but inwardly. So for Dampf, I took one of the ones that a bond that was in there, which was the I will get revenge. Or wait, no, I took the I created a great work for someone and then found them unworthy to receive it. I took that and turned it on its head a little bit. So what I have for that is I created a great work for someone and they used it for vile purposes. I cannot allow my work to fall into the wrong hands. So this is sort of a fear he has, where he created a device for somebody and they used it for evil. They used it to hurt people. And so he's sort of terrified, what happens if I create this device and it gets used for the wrong reasons, or it get used to hurt people, to kill people, to take things from people. So that's sort of always weighing on him that, you know, yes, he does have this great skill to create these things, but it's also a great burden because those things can be used, you know, to great extent. Now, flaw. The flaw is self-explanatory. It's something that holds your character back. It's a weakness they can't get over. In Damp's case, I am horribly jealous of anyone who can outshine my work. I am always surrounded by rivals. So he's constantly comparing himself to other people. If he sees a blacksmith, he'll compare the blacksmith's work to his own. If he comes across another tinker, he's of course going to try and outshine that tinker. So he's sort of consumed by this. It's definitely a big weakness of his. Okay, so there we have the background stuff. Again, these aren't things that are going to do they're not going to do a whole lot for you mechanically within the game, but they are going to do wonders in terms of role play, character development, and motivation. It gives you a really good idea of who your character is, where they came from, and where they're going. So definitely take the time to do this and give it the time and effort it deserves. Really fleshing out your character. When you create this character sheet, it's got all these cracks running through it, you know, in between all of these numbers and skills and character traits and stuff. All of this background stuff, it fills in those cracks and creates a really solid, really cohesive, really endearing character that you're going to enjoy playing at the table, I guarantee it. So take the time to really go over this background stuff and create a character that you're going to love playing and people are going to love playing with. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. In the next episode, we're going to be looking at equipment, and we're going to be buying some equipment for Damp Foyer here and figuring out what he's going to be carrying on his person. From there, we're going to be filling in the rest of these numbers and then talking about leveling up, spellcasting, and multi-classing. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. Take care and happy gaming all.